Welcome to Peter and Ruffy's Football Show here on STV. The main talking points on tonight's programme. Graham Murty has no intention of applying for the Rangers manager's job. Martin Canning is still confident Hamilton can move away from the bottom of the table. And both sets of players are up for the battle in the Edinburgh Derby. Yep, really looking forward to the Edinburgh Derby, just nipping along from the studio and heading to that one. Like to watch football, Ruffy, can't wait for this one. It's going to be an absolutely fantastic clash between the two of them. I'm going to get your final thoughts on who you think is going to edge it very shortly. But first to Rangers ahead of that game against Inverness on Friday. This is what Graham Murty had to say about applying for the manager's job.
The feeling will be, and has been, that I'm going to take this period to assess whether I'm cut out for it or not. And I don't mean in terms of tactical or technical knowledge, just in terms of temperament. Whether this is an environment I want to operate in, or whether I want to be more of a developmental person. But I'll take my own time in assessing that.
Okay, Ruffy, joined by our Bootroom guest, Des McKeown. Delighted to have Des with us on this. Graham Murty, what do you make of his comments?
Yeah, I don't think he's got any chance of getting that job. You know, I think Rangers will look a lot higher than that. I think they need to appease the fans. I think that the fans need not a massive name, but somebody who's got a wee bit of a track record to come in there and sort of lift them out of the rut that they're in just now. I got a funny feeling they'll go for a European coach. I think that's the way they'll go down. I think they're actively out there now interviewing people, so I don't think he's got a chance of it at all. Yeah,
I think this part, apart from the delay, Des, I don't think it's helpful. The delay is another Old Firm game approaches. That might be a short-term attitude to it, but I think the Rangers fans and the players need a lift before you go into that match, and of course there's the battle for second.
Yeah, and that's an important thing from Rangers' perspective, Peter, but I somehow think that Rangers would be foolish to rush into something. I think Graham Murty will be in charge up to the Celtic game. I think any incoming manager might want that to be the case as well. I don't think anybody would want to come in right away to find out that they're cuffed by Celtic, as they could be. But I think from Graham Murty's point of view, it's clear that when Graham Murty isn't sure whether he's a first-team coach or a developmental coach, then he's in a position where you can't land in your feet at Rangers just to learn whether you're one or other. Rangers need somebody who is experienced enough to know what the job entails and how to get the best out of a squad that has underperformed all too often this season.
Yep, and the interim manager obviously decided to give us his thoughts on the squad and the battle that they face to finish second.
We've been quite open and candid and said they want to finish second, they're desperate to finish second, because we want to do as well as we possibly can. So when the long-term things are sorted out, in the time that it takes to get it done, we can't lose focus on the things that are immediately in front of us. And the thing that's immediately in front of us is prepping for a game on Friday. So I've said to the players, don't be looking too far into the future. You have to just make sure we take care of business right now.
It's perhaps an indication, Robbie, of the state of Rangers that you wouldn't look at it as a given 3 points at the Tulloch Stadium on Friday.
No, and the evidence of the weekend there, and that evidence has been there for a long time now. I know they've been winning games with goals in the last 3 minutes into injury time, and everybody puts a label on that, or the fighting character of the team going right to the end and all that. But that means they're not playing well. They're not playing well in the 90 minutes, and that's a problem that he's got. He needs to get them back winning again. We're talking about second spot. I would be talking about third or fourth, because I think if Hearts were to go on a wee run and get near Rangers, I think then the panic would set in, because if Hearts were to jump above them and Rangers were to go down into fourth place, then you'd have a problem.
I think the bonus for Rangers is that Robbie Neilson left Hearts, and I don't mean that as a slight against Ian Cathro. I just mean that Ian Cathro has taken a bit of time to find his feet, to implement his philosophy and strategy in terms of how the team are likely to play. But if Robbie Neilson had still been there, I'm pretty sure that Hearts would already be ahead of Rangers. So Rangers, Ruffy's right, Rangers are, looking at trying to get above Aberdeen and finish second. I think they might do well to finish third.
Yeah, and with that in mind, just one other little point that I wanted to highlight, Ruffy, was Derek Lambias, the former chief executive, not for a long time, I have to say, but you know, he was obviously Mike Ashley's ally as a non-executive director on the board. He's basically come out over the last 24 hours and said, listen, 2 years on, show me the money, Dave King. You know, he doesn't believe Rangers are any further forward. And again, people are starting to scrutinise. You know, if there has been 18 million spent by Dave King, where is it? You know, where is that highlighted in the accounts?
No, you have to take that on board, because he was at the board meetings. He was the one that was in the discussion of where the club was going to go and how it was going to go forward. He actually sat there and listened to the money that was obviously going to be invested, and if he's saying that money isn't there that was talking about, then there is a problem, because the Rangers supporters out there were wanting transparency, they were wanting clarity, they were wanting to know where the club was going forward, and that money that Dave King said was the money that was going to take them forward, and I don't think it's materialised.
Okay, you can give us your view on that at Peter and Ruffy on Twitter and facebook.com/Peter and Ruffy. Now, the derby. Some of them can be fantastic. The last one was possibly a contender for the worst of all time. But that was the pitch. I thought the attitude of, the tactics, you know, just didn't lend itself to getting free-flowing football. I think we're in for a different style of game this time around, Des.
Yeah, I don't doubt that for a second, Peter, and I think that both sets of players will welcome the fact that they're going to Easter Road, a better surface. It'll be a cracking atmosphere under the lights, and I have to say that given Hibs' recent domination over Hearts in these games, going to Easter Road is not going to be an easy task for the Hearts players. You know, I think they've come into the game with, you know, in the back of 3 draws. Hibs much the same, you know, unbeaten in the last 6 derby games, but I think that'll be quite an exceptional game tonight. Whether it will be classy, totally free-flowing football or not, not quite sure about that, but I think there will be plenty of action, and I think it will certainly be better than the first game. Yeah,
I'm curious to see what kind of response the players are going to give the manager after he ripped into them at the weekend. Neil Lennon didn't actually hold back on his criticism of players, including, of course, John McGinn, and I don't think it bothers John McGinn one little bit.
It's a positive. He wouldn't be doing it if he knew. If he didn't know I could do more. I know myself, I could have done more at the weekend. Jason knows 5A as well, so he only wants the best for us, and maybe I can go and prove him wrong on Wednesday and get some praise. No, you should be up for every fixture, but you can't get yourself as motivated as you can for a derby. That takes care of itself. It's a great game to play in, under the lights at Easter Road in front of a full house. It's why you come to a place like Hibs and to be involved in big games like that. So all the boys are looking forward to it, and hopefully we can play a lot better than what we did at the weekend.
Here's a question, Ruffy. If both teams play football at their maximum, who wins this game? Who's the better footballing team in your mind? Bearing in mind what Dick said earlier about this transitional period under Ian Cathro.
I don't think there's much between the two sides, you know, footballing wise. I think both teams have got players of quality. You know, obviously they've got McGinn in there. I like Jamie Walker the other side. And I think Hearts have moved on a wee bit from where they were. For me, Hearts were a spoiling team. Hearts would identify teams who could play a bit of football, they'd stop the game, and then they would go on and try and win it themselves. I think they've changed for that now. I think they've now got players who can go on and win a game for you, but I think this is a really, really tight game.
Yeah, Don Cowie has mentioned that he expects a better quality game as well.
It's a big game, you know, it's going to be fierce. It's obviously a big rivalry. You know, the pitch didn't help last week. Hibs came with a game plan, probably were a wee bit more physical than what they normally are. Played a bit longer, which, you know, the game was a bit disruptive. They just played the conditions and probably played it a bit better than what we did. You know, by all accounts, Easter Road's, you know, in better conditions, so hopefully it'll be a better football game. No matter what game you play, the start's always a battle. That's what you always talk about. Try and win the battle and then try and play a bit of football after that. So, you know, we know the first 15-20 minutes is vital in order to then build on that and then start to get the ball down and play a bit of football. And
I feel with the players that we've got at this club, then if we can do that, we'll hurt them.
You won't be surprised, Des, to know that Ruffy's picked Hibs to win it. Give us your prediction.
Well, I'll go the other side. I think Hearts will go and win the game.
Okay then. Coming up after the break, we'll talk Champions League football, Celtic, new development, new plans. But we thought we'd give you a little Champions League question to see if you know the answer, and we'll bring it to you right after this quick break. Did you get that, Ruffy? Was that one you would have
yeah, that probably
correctly?
went for Buffon, obviously, because of his age, and he'd been a wee while longer. No, so I wouldn't have got that. No.
Yeah, I must admit, if I'm honest with you, Des, I would have got that on the basis that Casillas was in that Real Madrid side at such a young age.
Yeah, he must have played there 15, 16 seasons in the bounce. So, 10 Champions League games a season. And he was very fortunate in terms of, I can't ever remember him having any significant injuries as such, so I would have probably plumped for. So it's Ruffy's the only one that got it wrong.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's 159 more than me.
Yeah, that's very true. And it's good that Des is back, and he's just reminded us of the frailties of Ruffy when these questions come around. Good to have you back, Des. Okay, let's talk about, before we get to Champions League and your predictions, guys, let's talk about Celtic. Yesterday they just released the pictures of their plans for a hotel. Of course, the museum in there as well. It's quite an ambitious set of plans that they're going to submit to the Glasgow City Council. Again, that whole area has been redeveloped. That that would be a money-making pot for Celtic as well.
Yeah, and I think it's also going to house, cafes, bars, and indeed the superstore, Peter. So it's joined up thinking. It's the way that European clubs generally operate. You go down to Old Trafford, there's hotels on site, there's a whole host of different facilities, and I think it is only fitting for Celtic to look at that. It's been talked about for a number of years, and with the redevelopment, as you said, from the Commonwealth Games in terms of the Sir Chris Hoy Velodrome and Emirates Arena across the road, it would be a terrific addition to Celtic Park.
Yep. Ruffy, you think there's going to be an airport just right next to the ground as well,
What's
don't you?
next? What's next? Just imagine teams flying in, supporters flying into the hotel.
I'm not for a minute dismissing it, because it's a long way to go once you submit an application, but we've seen these things before. If it happens, then we'll keep you right up to date with it. But nevertheless, I think the more pertinent line that I was looking from the papers this morning is obviously, this, I wouldn't say it's a clamour, but there's certainly a lot of clubs looking at Moussa Dembele. His agent has come out and said, listen, he's got no intention of rushing things. He's, in his mind, he's there for 4 years. I mentioned something in the last couple of weeks, Ruffy. I don't know if you remember me floating a couple of weeks ago that Real Madrid would come into the equation and possibly look at loaning him back to Celtic.
Yeah, he's definitely a boy for the future. I think at 20 years of age, the media hype surrounding him is absolutely fantastic, and that's why we're up at these figures that we're talking about. I think I still think he's learning the game. I think he's still got to prove it at a higher level. Yeah, he scored against Man City, but I think a couple of Champions League seasons and continuing that form, I think he's it just go up and up. But I think we've got to remember he's only 20. If he was to go to any of these teams, there's no way he'd be in the first team. Yeah.
I think another year at Celtic would do him the world of good.
I think that's right, Peter. I think, as Ruffy says, he's got to be playing, whether that's on a transfer and loaned back to Celtic or not. I think staying at Celtic Park for another 12 months under Brendan Rodgers would do him very well. It would do Celtic very well. And I would just have to say, at this stage, I would still be gobsmacked if any player leaving Scottish football goes for over 20-25 million. I would be absolutely astonished.
Would you be astonished, Des? I mean, I looked at the 40 million suggestion and I blew it out of the water. The same as I have with the Barry Mackay 6 million. I think sometimes, you know, we are guilty in this country if somebody actually gets a phone call and just writes down whatever somebody's told them. But you know, if he hits 40 goals at 25, 30 million. Could be something that Celtic could dig their heels in for.
Again, Pete, the thing he's going to get hit with is playing in our league. You know, yeah, you're playing in our league. You know, Lee Griffiths scored 40 goals. You know, he's got to do it at the big stage. He's got to do it in Champions League. He's got to do it against the big clubs, and that's where the 30-40 million will come. Not what he's doing in our league.
I'm going to tell you something, Peter. See, depending on the character of the boy and his agent, you look at Payet at West Ham. Payet's dug his heels in. Payet's out the door for nothing like that kind of money. So going from I know you're saying Celtic could dig their heels in, but the player could dig his heels in. If the player and his agent organise a deal with whoever, Real Madrid or Barcelona, whoever they want, and they decide that's our deal, we're not going anywhere else. Celtic need to take what they're given. Or you've got a player potentially sitting there, and I'm not suggesting for 1 second this is the way it'll play out, but this is why 30-40 million, that only comes into play if there is a bidding war and the player is happy to look at both sides. Yeah, well,
I would suggest to you that the one element of this which is sacrosanct is that the manager seems to be singing from the same hymn sheet as the player and the agent, because if I'm correct in this, the agent Mamadi, let me make sure, Fofana, has said that basically the deal between manager and player will remain private, but there's no rush. So there's clearly this kind of coming together. They know what the plan is. So I don't see any great argument on that one. What about the Craig Gordon situation, Ruffy? They're going to hold that off. Apparently talks shelved till the summer.
A strange one for Craig Gordon. You would like to think it's Craig Gordon that's decided that, and not the club, you know, because obviously not disappointment. If he was wanting to go, it would be disappointing, but he seemed to be happy as long as he got the extra years, and obviously the money was going to go up. So it is a strange one, because you would have thought he would have wanted to get tied up in the security there and there.
OK, Celtic, of course, at Hamilton at the weekend. Martin Canning's been speaking about the games that they've got coming up, because, of course, Hamilton certainly don't want to be involved in another playoff, certainly don't want to be involved in relegation from the Premiership, and they have a confident manager. The Aki's boss thinks they can escape.
I think that's the thing. Sometimes you get caught up in the fact that you're playing Celtic, you're playing Rangers, you're playing Hearts, you're playing Aberdeen. Every team's got to play these teams. It's not as if that's just part of the league. It's nothing. I don't think the only thing for us is that they kind of twice now they've came in blocks. So you're not kind of playing one a couple of weeks, playing another. You're kind of playing 4 or 5 in a row in difficult games. But you've got to play them regardless when you play them. And like I say, as a player, you want to be involved in big games, and these are big games. I think they now were 2 points off the bottom and 5 points off a 6th. So it's not as if you're 7, 8, 9 points cut adrift at the bottom of the league and you're in real trouble. We're still in a group of teams that we need to make sure we win enough games to keep ourselves in the league. That's just the position we find ourselves in, and we believe we can do that.
Well, they've got a tough run. They go to Celtic Park at the weekend, Ruffy, and I just get this. You think Motherwell's going to be in the playoff? I think it's going to be Hamilton.
Well, unfortunately for everybody at Hamilton, I did pick Hamilton at the beginning of the season. I like everything about the club.
Yeah, but
I like the way it's run.
You've changed your mind.
No, Hamilton are still there for me, you know, particularly the fixtures that have got up there.
Well, hold on a minute. Last week you said Motherwell are going to be in the playoff, and now you say you've changed your mind again.
No, I said Hamilton would be relegated right at the very start.
Inverness escape now?
Yes, I think Inverness will escape. I've said Hamilton all along. If you look at our wee board across there, you'll see that.
Hamilton finished bottom?
Yes.
Right, so they're not in the playoff now. I just need clarity on this.
No,
I need transparency from
No, I'm telling you, right from day one, as I've been taking criticism for Hamilton supporters all season, because right at the very beginning I said, unfortunately, I think Hamilton have dodged the bullet on too many occasions, and this is the year.
Yeah. With all due respect to you, you know, you said it there as if it was an injustice that you're taking criticism from Hamilton. No. You've been predicting for the last 4 years since I've been hanging about with you that Hamilton are going to get relegated. You're going to get one of them right one year.
Well, I think it'll be this year, unfortunately.
Oh, unfortunately. There's your saving grace. Listen, talking about Motherwell, Mark McGee looks as if he's going to have to answer this notice of complaint. I would suggest that he may well be looking at a lawyer to represent him in this one. Ruffy has mentioned it, that the actual term here is used offensive, abusing and or insulting language and gestures towards a match official, and adopted aggressive behaviour towards a match official as well. So he gets a chance to state his case. Whether he'll get away with anything, I don't know.
Well, again, we're not privy to what happened. I think the referee's report will be there for everybody to see at the meeting. The interesting one for me, as Mark was saying, that the referee had got it in for him right from the beginning. You know, I'd love to know a wee bit more about that. But as I said earlier, I think the Aberdeen technical area is very, very small. There's not a lot of leeway there. Things can be said in the heat of the moment, but we'll just have to wait and see.
Yep, okay. Just briefly, Owen Coyle loses his job and suddenly Tony Mowbray moves into the Blackburn Rovers job. It's not an easy place.
Yes, it's not a place that you would look to have a long and stable managerial career at. By the looks of things, there's so many managers in the last few years since Evenki's took over, and Owen has unfortunately paid with his job. Okay,
we wish him well for the future. Champions League football on offer, which is basically why nobody gets a chance to see the live Scottish Cup replay at Easter Road. But if you're a football fan, if you go and watch football, if you love football, you go out there, you go to Edinburgh, have a wee Italian restaurant, sit down there with your pal, and then go along to the Edinburgh Derby. It does not get any better. I can't wait. From Ruffy, from myself, from Des McKeown, good night.